Okay. Hello, Mayank. Hello, Prabha. Participants, if you could just briefly let us know about your profile, and if you have any queries which you would like us to answer in the session, please feel free to add those queries in the chat box. We will take them up uh, specifically after the session is done. So, okay. So, yes, I will answer the questions, Narayani. It's a 6 months program. Hello, Mr. Iyer. Nice to see you. And okay, so let's start the session today. So, on behalf of Railway Academy and IIT Pravartak, I am Sumit Kanu, welcoming you all to this 2 hours free masterclass with Mr. Israel Barron, who has been an ex-CISO of Israel Railways. He'll be the one who will be taking up this 2 hour session with you, sharing insights on securing railway infrastructures and safety critical systems. So the intent of the workshop, organizing this masterclass is to create awareness about rail cybersecurity among railway professionals, and also share that we conduct a postgraduate certification program in railway cybersecurity management, specially designed for railway professionals in collaboration with IIT Madras Pravartak, which is the technology hub of IIT Madras, which is ranked number one for last 10 years as the best engineering institution in India. So we conduct this program where the certification is offered by IIT Pravartak. This is a 6 months online program with 3 days boot camp at IIT Madras Pravartak's campus in Chennai, and open to all railway professionals who want to learn about rail cybersecurity. Railway cybersecurity, as such, is gaining a lot of prominence uh, in the in the age of digitization of railways, and and this program aptly fits that gap of building railway professionals who will be needed in this industry. With this note, I'll share about the program during the masterclass when we take a break with you more in detail. People who are interested to know about more about the program can just write in the chat box, and my team will connect with you one on one. So, with this, I would like to welcome Israel Barron. Greetings, Israel. You may switch on your camera, please, and share your presentation. Nice to see you. Yes. So we have Israel. Welcome, Israel. So now
Thank you.
over to Israel to start the session and take it forward. Thank you.
Okay, let me share my screen. Samit, let me know if you can see my presentation.
Yes, yes, I can see you. I can see you. Yes.
Great, great. So, hi everybody, good evening. In here, it's only like 12 minutes after 4 p.m. So, you are way ahead of us. So, I'm truly excited to be here with you today, opening this session. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us to discuss the evolving cybersecurity threats landscape to railway infrastructure. So again, my name is Israel Baron. Over the past 2 decades, I've served as the CISO of our national railway, Israel Railways. Also, I was the VP at Cervelo Railway Cybersecurity, a startup from Israel designing an intrusion detection system specifically designed to the railway infrastructure. Currently, I advise both the Israeli Ministry of Defense and our National Cyber Directorate on how to secure critical infrastructure. So, in this session, I would like to focus exclusively on real-world challenges facing railway cybersecurity. Okay, as you might understand, this topic is extremely close to my heart. And I think there are a lot of things that needs to be done in the field of cybersecurity for railways. So what we will do today is first go over why critical infrastructure is a prime target for attackers, while railways are a prime target for attackers. We will discuss a little bit about the dominant threat actors in the past year. We will go through some examples of railway cybersecurity case studies. I will go over some challenges that I think are the most, I think, important in the railway domain, a little bit on standards, and some strategic recommendations. As Samit said, if you have any questions, you feel free to put them in the chat. And after we will finish the session, you will have enough time for any questions that you might have during the session to be answered. Okay, so critical infrastructure. So we refer to sectors like energy, transportation, water, healthcare. All of them form the backbone of any nation's safety, economy, and public welfare. These systems provide essential services to the citizens that they rely on every single day. And that's exactly what makes them so attractive to threat actors. From a strategic perspective, attackers, hackers, especially when we discuss nation states and cyber terrorists, they view these kind of sectors as high value, high impact targets. A successful disruption to those systems doesn't just affect the operations. It creates a true panic. It can create economic damage and even lead to political pressure. And this is far more leverage than just steal credit card numbers. I'm sure all of you are aware of that. Another reason is that many critical infrastructure environments are still running on legacy operational technology systems, OT systems, very old systems that were designed for uptime and reliability, but not cybersecurity. So we find ourselves dealing with systems that often lack encryption, authentication, or even the very basic monitoring capabilities, making them extremely easy targets. And finally, the convergence, and we will speak about it later, the convergence of IT and OT together has widened the attack surface. So it's now possible to pivot from a compromised IT workstation all the way into the SCADA or control systems. So attackers don't have to breach the OT environment directly, which is hard sometimes. They can often get just through remote access systems, vendors, or unmanaged IT assets that connect to the OT layer. Now I would like to speak with you about what makes railways a high-value, high-risk target. So first, legacy infrastructure. Most rail signaling systems around the world were not designed with cybersecurity in mind. And this is a very sad fact. Many protocols like the ERTMS, GSM-R, or proprietary interlocking systems lack even the most basic encryption or authentication. Second, IT and OT convergence, ticketing systems, scheduling app, passenger displays are managed by IT, but in most cases, they are linked or integrated with operational technology networks. And this fact open very big and substantial pathways for attackers to bridge from the IT to the OT safety critical systems. Third, increased remote connectivity. Remote maintenance is a major cost saver, but often it creates unmanaged attack surfaces because vendors might connect directly to a train or a signaling systems with minimum controls. You know, even cars today, when you buy an electric car, most of them, if not all of them, have remote access. Also our trains. And finally, there is the symbolic and disruptive value. A railway shutdown makes huge headlines. Huge headlines. It can create panic, whether it's a nation-state actor or a ransomware group, it doesn't matter. It creates a huge, huge panic, and this panic has a lot of power in the hands of the adversaries. So in 2025, the greatest threat to critical infrastructure is not no longer just a data theft, it's a prepositioning. Advanced persistent threats like Volt Typhoon and Sol Typhoon are actively in our OT networks. And the fact that they don't necessarily execute any attack today is only because that maybe they are embedding themselves deep and deeper within our signaling and power control systems, waiting to trigger disruptive effects during a future geopolitical conflict. I like to call it the red button. When we deal with nation state actors, you know, it's not like in the movies where you just open like a telnet screen and hack somewhere. Those threat campaigns, those attack campaigns can take years, years of preparation, years to penetrate the inside systems, and they just, in a very stealth way, a silent attack just waits for the conflict to arise, for something to happen, for a geopolitical mindset to change, and then they can activate it. Criminal syndicates. So cybercrime has evolved into a ruthless business model. We are seeing a shift to ransomware 3.0, where encryption is optional, but extortion is guaranteed. Because these groups know our defenses are strong, so they pivot to the supply chain attacking smaller third-party integrators to leverage access into the core operations. Then we have the political activists, the chaos agents. Activism is no longer just about defacing websites. Driven by global conflicts, these groups are becoming highly coordinated and targeting operational activities. Their goal is public disrupt. I can only imagine the chaos if every passenger information system in one of your major stations suddenly showed political propaganda or false safety warnings. It's mayhem. And lastly, we have the AI augmented insiders, the new perimeter. Artificial intelligence has weaponized social engineering. The insider threat is no longer just a malicious employee. It is a manipulated one because of the AI. They use deepfake voice cloning and AI-generated phishing attacks. And now, using those kind of new tools, they can trick even the most vigilant staff into granting access, bypassing all the firewalls, all the IDSs, all the antivirus. So now, I would like to take the opportunity to discuss with you several real life cases regarding railway cybersecurity incidents. The first one is the DSB Denmark attack, which happened in 2022. It was a highly public example that paralyzed a national railway. The DSB attack in August 2022. So on August 19, DSB, which is the Danish state railway, was forced to stop all train traffic across the country. Everything was standstill for several hours. You can only imagine the mayhem it cost and how much money it cost them. And this wasn't due to technical failure or weather. It was a cyber incident that affected their operational capabilities. The target wasn't DSB's core signaling system directly. The attack just exploited a weakness in one of their key third-party contractors, Sopeo, a company that provides software for optimizing train operations. This is supply chain attack. Now, though the attack was not physically destructive, the network disruption and inability to safely manage their operational software forced DSB to implement a full shutdown to prevent further risk. This case, this example, is a textbook example of the supply chain attack. Because, as we see, the attacker gained their initial access not by hacking the railway, not by hacking DSB itself, but by compromising the IT environment of one of their vendors, Super, which had persistent remote connections into DSB operational network. It's a classic supply chain attack. The threat actor used the compromised vendor network as a trusted launchpad to pivot into DSB's critical systems. Specifically, the attack leveraged vulnerabilities found in network access tools that facilitate remote maintenance. This incident confirms that we are only as secure as our least secure partner, as our weakest part in the chain. Even if DSB had top-tier security, cybersecurity, the vulnerability in the trusted vendor environment served as an unmonitored backdoor straight into the heart of the operations. The incident was reportedly related to a DDoS, distributed denial of service attack, and the subsequent breach forced the operator to manually secure systems by disconnecting everything, resulting in the paralysis of the railway. It's a major attack. And it can happen again, I think, in almost every railway system around the world. Now to the next case study. The Merseyrail ransomware attack was a critical incident that occurred in April 2021, targeting the internal IT systems of the UK train operator, serving as the Liverpool City region. While the technical disruption was limited to the IT systems, the attacker's public relations strategy made this case highly unusual and impactful. So a little bit about Merseyrail. Merseyrail operates 68 stations in the UK's Liverpool City region, making it a vital piece of local critical national infrastructure. The attack was a ransomware attack, specifically attributed to the notorious Lockbit gang. Crucially, unlike other rail attacks, like the DSB, for example, train operations were confirmed to be unaffected by the cyber attack. The safety critical systems, the OT network, remained untouched and secure. The attackers targeted corporate systems, but their extortion methods focused heavily on public shaming and internal pressure. The primary targets were Merseyrail internal systems and corporate data. During the attack, employees and potentially customer data were stolen. The attackers successfully compromised the company's internal email systems, gaining access to highly sensitive accounts. It was the account of the director of Merseyrail. It is suspected that they gained entry via phishing, exploiting an externally facing device, or misconfiguration. It was a double extortion attack. First, they encrypted all the victim's files, which is standard ransomware, crypto, and then they stole significant amount of private data before they encrypted the entire network. And this example is a classic example of a highly aggressive public-facing extortion designed to maximize pressure. They take your information, they encrypt everything, and then they threat to publish it everywhere all the data of your clients and your employees if you will not pay them. The attacker also used the compromised director's email account to send emails to all of the employees of the company, to UK journalists, and to cybersecurity newsletters. The email that they sent, falsely attributed to the director, used the subject line Lockbit ransomware attack and data theft, and claimed a recent IT outage has been downplayed, revealing the true scale of the data theft. The emails that they've sent included a link to an image displaying a personal member's private data to provide a proof of the breach. Our last case study was the German rail sabotage and GSM-R cyber risk. On October 8, 2022, Germany experienced one of the most severe disruptions to its critical railway infrastructure in history. It was not a cyber attack per se, but a coordinated act of physical sabotage, because unknown perpetrators deliberately cut fiber optic cables in two locations, one near Berlin and another one 550 kilometers away in the north of Germany. Now, because these cables carry essential operational communications, those coordinated cuts of the line immediately halted all rail traffic across Germany for nearly 3 hours. Now, this physical vulnerability exposed how dependent modern rail operations are on the communication networks. If cutting the cables can cause this, imagine what will happen if somebody will hack the GSM-R network. What can they achieve? Now, I'm sure that all of you are aware what is GSM-R, but in any case, just for people that might not know it, GSM-R stands for a global system for mobile communication. It's specifically designed a GSM protocol for railways. It's a dedicated, standardized digital radio communication systems used by railway across Europe and beyond. It's supposed to be the secure digital link that provides voice communications between drivers and signalers. And most critically, it is the data barrier for the European train control systems, which is the ETCS that almost all of Europe uses, and even Israel. In modern railway, GSM-R doesn't just manage calls, it transmits movement authority and crucial safety information directly to the train cab. If this communication will be lost or corrupted, the system is designed to trigger an immediate, mandatory fail-safe stop. Now, taking it to the cyber realm, a sophisticated attacker wouldn't necessarily need a pair of cutters. They would seek to compromise the GSM-R network digitally, achieving the same outcome of a shutdown of the entire network with a greater ease and anonymity. Also, they can flood the GSM-R core network or its radio block centers, RBCs, with overwhelming traffic, resulting in communication link fails, movement authorities that cannot be updated. And then the fail-safe mechanism might kick in, leading to a massive halt of the entire network. Another thing that the attackers might do is signaling spoofing, injecting false data packets inside the GSM-R communication channel that might result in simulating an emergency call, a railway emergency call, stopping every railway in the entire region. Even worse, if successful, an attacker could potentially manipulate movement authorities, leading to safety risks, like collisions, or even routing trains incorrectly. So, the way I see it, this physical attack on the network of the GSM-R can lead to extreme problems with the networks if a cyber attacker will gain access to this network. And we all know the GSM is one of the most hackable protocols in the world. I mean, try me. Go to Google and ask how to hack a GSM protocol, and you will be amazed. There are tools already ready to be downloaded that can manipulate GSM. So trust me when I say that the jump from GSM to GSM-R for an attacker is nothing. It's very easy to manipulate, extremely easy. And all of us, almost all of us, rely on this communication channel. So understanding the risks, now I would like to share with you challenges regarding railway cybersecurity, at least the way I see it. And you know, I have to be honest with you. 8, 9, 10 years ago, when I used to speak about railway cybersecurity, people from the industry would look at me like I'm crazy. Really. They thought that railway systems cannot be hacked because they are air-gapped systems, because they are safety systems, because you have the IT and the OT, and it's supposed to be separated, because nobody can access from remote. But as the years goes by, all of us now know that this is not true. All of us know that railway systems can be hacked and the consequences can be devastating. And the way I see it, it's only a matter of when, not if. Something will happen. It's only a matter of time when it does. And we have to be prepared. And I know that sometimes everybody likes to look on Israeli people like they are, you know, a little bit crazy and seeing threats everywhere and being very cautious about those kind of things. But history proves that we are right. History proves that there are bad guys out there just looking to ways to hack critical systems and make chaos. So the first challenge is vendor access. So we all rely heavily on our original equipment manufacturers, the OEMs, like we like to call them, and on third-party vendors, because they install, they maintain, they upgrade our most critical systems, our SCADA, our signaling, our interlocking controllers. Now, to do it efficiently, they require, in most cases, remote access, because they need to troubleshoot a PLC in the middle of the night without driving hundreds of miles. They want to give us a very good SLA to provide us support in a very short amount of time. So, in this perspective, this remote connection is essential for operational availability and quick recovery. However, this necessary access is also one of the greatest security threats we face. When a vendor connects, they bring their security posture into the connection. And on top of that, they also bring their vulnerabilities directly into our most critical networks. So the first vulnerability, as I see it, is that the trust model is flawed. It has flaws. We often grant vendor access based on our implicit trust, which is just too broad. Historically speaking, this kind of access to vendors was permanent, always on VPN connection, or even a shared service account. Now, if that vendor is compromised, the attackers now inherit a pre-authorized, high privilege pathway, highway, directly into our railway OT network, which is our core activity, which is the most important thing that we need to protect. And they have like a huge highway inside this network. The second vulnerability is weak vendor security posture. The vendor security is often the weakest link, because maybe their employees might be using shared passwords. Maybe they are using old and unpatched laptops. Or maybe they even connect to your system through their home equipment. And we've seen major industrial breaches, like, I hope you heard of it, the SolarWinds attack, where the attacker used the software supply chain as the delivery mechanism. Again, we are only as secure as the least secure vendor with access to our OT system. The third vulnerability is the lack of visibility and monitoring. Because once a vendor connects, our security teams have, in most cases, zero visibility into what they are doing. We don't know nothing. We can't see which commands they are running, which files they copy or transfer. We don't know anything. And this creates a huge, huge blind spot. If an attacker compromises a vendor's account, they can move throughout our network undetected. And then they can lure around looking like a legitimate engineer, for example. So the solution is not to eliminate remote access, but to subject it to the most rigorous controls, specifically by treating the vendor's connections as a high-risk network pathway. And this is exactly what we did in ISR, in Israel Railway, because we had Thales as our OEM for all of the equipment in the network. And they requested, and they had an open gateway inside the OT. And we told them, that's it, not more. We cannot continue like that because we don't know who can penetrate our network for your account. So a couple of mitigation plans might be zero trust and just-in-time access, which means that access should never be permanent. It must be granted only when needed, just in time. It needs to be approved by an internal authority for a fixed, very short duration, which is automatically revoked in the end. Another thing we can do is use strong authentication and tracking. Require, for example, multi-factor authentication for all vendor connections. The connection must use secure, modern protocols, and all the activity of this vendor must be fully recorded and logged. You can even demand a security camera to see who is connecting and see the keyboard, what do they type. It's okay to ask that. You need to ask that. And the third best practice I can advise is to make restrictive access. Vendors should only be allowed to access the specific device they need to work on, not the entire network. This is the principle of least privilege, and you need to implement it. So by treating vendor access as a high-risk security event that must be heavily monitored and tightly controlled, we drastically reduce our exposure to supply chain attacks. The next challenge is the IT and OT convergence, the combination of IT and OT together, which means the erosion of the air gap. So now I would like to zoom in with you on the fundamental architectural problem driving much of our vulnerabilities. The integration of IT and OT together. So from one side, we have the IT, the information technology, This is like, the enterprise network, the email, the finance, the ticketing, and corporate servers, cloud, whatever. Its priority is confidentiality to protect the data and integrability. Downtime is inconvenient, but it can happen. On the other hand, we have the OT, our operational technology. And this is the domain of the SCADA, signaling, PLCs, and the power supply, power control. Its priorities are safety and availability, uptime. Even a brief outage is unacceptable in the OT. Even a small security patch that you implement can crash the system and cause a crash. So for decades, we relied on air gap. OT was meant to be physically isolated. And this physical separation was our primary security control. We relied on the fact that the OT is 100% separated from everything else, right? Air gap. But the fact is that air gap is dissolving because the business demands connectivity. Today, we need to run a modern, efficient railway. We now need to remotely monitor system health and performance data from signaling boxes and substations. And we need to send it back to the central IT data lake for analysis, for the managers. We use data from OT sensors to feed IT analytics applications to predict when a component will fail, predictive maintenance. This saves a huge amount of money, but it requires a constant data flow from the OT to the IT. And modern control centers now manage signaling, power, and often also passenger systems from the same facility using the same shared network infrastructure. These drivers mean that the firewall separating our ticketing servers from our interlocking systems is the only barrier between them, only a firewall, which means that it's a fact, that air gap is now only a logical, programmable defense. It's not physical. It's only a logical defense. If you change the checkbox in the firewall, that's it. The IT and the OT are permanently connected. So this is the core security problem. By connecting the two environments, we have exposed our safety critical OT to the constant threat environment of the IT world. Because IT is constantly under attack from phishing, ransomware, denial of service attacks. And the compromised IT laptop is now one, or maybe in a very good scenario, two firewall rules away from the SCADA network. And the thing is that the attackers knows that. They don't try to hack PLCs remotely or directly anymore. They understand that this is how things are built in the railway. So they target the weakest link, the IT endpoint or the shared service account. They gain access to the IT and then they look for that single poorly segmented link to pivot into the OT environment.
Israel, can we take a 5 minutes break if you okay with
After
that?
this slide,
Yeah,
after this slide.
sure. Right.
Yeah, I need to drink water as well. So one slide and let me finish the slide and we will take a few minutes. So to conclude this about the IT and OT convergence, it's an economic necessity, but it also represents the most significant architectural vulnerability in modern railway. Now, to mitigate it, our answer must be a total commitment for defense in depth. We must stop on one perimeter firewalls. We must implement very hard network segmentation to control that link and monitor the traffic between the two environments. Okay, so now let's take how much time?
5 minutes. 5 minutes break.
5 minutes break, guys.
Let
Okay,
me
okay.
just put a 5 minutes break. And before we go on to the break, uh, so let's take a, I'm putting a 5 minutes timer onto this so that we all can take a bio break and come back. Yes. Welcome back, participants. And I welcome you all to session part two of session on Rail Cybersecurity. And before we commence resume the session, I would briefly like to share about us, for especially to those who are who do not know about us. So we are Railway Academy. So we are a edtech company or a training company, you can call us, who specialize in rail sector trainings. So we have been collaborating with eminent institutions around the world, like you could see IIT Pravartak, IIM Kashipur, even IIT Delhi, and University of Birmingham, Dubai, and even there is a university in Bangalore, Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, and we're running executive programs for rail professionals. So we have a programs on cybersecurity for railways. We have a program on artificial intelligence, specially designed for railway sector. We also have a program on rail management by IIM Kashipur. So all of these programs are uh, delivered in collaboration with these eminent global institutions, and the certification is provided by these organizations. In addition to this, we also have a lot of short courses, free courses, micro courses on various topics. You could go to our website, check out. So there are free and micro courses. Micro courses are 4 hours, capsule programs. We have recorded course programs on signaling, metro and high speed railways, RAMs and safety, railway electrifications, rolling stock, AI and cybersecurity, even rail operations management. So you could check out a lot of course programs that we offer on various topics. So rail professionals who are interested in upskilling themselves with latest rail technologies, we have programs on track derailments, track technologies, then track engineering, rolling stock. We've got a lot of programs. So you could check them out on our website. And if you wish to enroll for them, you could go ahead. We have a pool of global experts like Israel, David, Dr. P. Rajagondan, Deepankar Ghosh, and Ravi Prakash sir, who's were part of the railway industry. Our average faculty experience is upwards of 20 plus years. You could take up some of the free courses mentioned on our website. We've recently launched a course program on command and control systems. Uh, Traffic management systems. There was some query I could see in the chat box about traffic management systems. So we have a latest, a new free course on this. You could check this out. And in fact, we will also be wondering if we could actually get the recording of this particular masterclass uh, available to the participants as a course program, free course program, as an overview for you to understand it. We'll explore that possibility also. I could see some of the people who are at senior positions in their organization. One important thing I would like to share is that next weekend, we are doing a masterclass on AI powered railways, which will be taken by Mr. Deepankar Ghosh. So this will be on November 30th at starting at 7:30 p.m. India time. So those who are interested to know about AI powered railways from a railway veteran who has served as ex-MD of Norbremse and ex-CEO of Escorts Rail in India, uh, who is a Chevening Gurukul scholar. So you're most welcome to register for this particular masterclass and attend this next week. Post that, we are also looking at organizing a masterclass on tendering, contract administration, and rail infrastructure projects from tendering to close out. So this will be organized on 6th and 7th of December. 2 days we are organizing this free live masterclass. So you all could actually enroll into this. So, in addition, with this, I would like to request Israel to resume his session. Please go ahead. One more thing before I do it, just wanted to share with you is that you could check out the entire course program. We have a very interesting brochure which is there, which you could check out. So this brochure you could download free of cost from the website. This will give you an entire overview of the course program, the topics. You could go through in detail in this particular brochure. So I could see some of the people, some of the participants have already downloaded the program brochure. You could go out and actually download this. With this, I'll stop here and would request Israel to resume the session. Please go ahead, Israel.
Thank you, thank you. I know it's late now in India, but I hope you have a little bit more strength to go on with the presentation. Sami, just let me know if you can see
Yes,
my
I could
screen.
see this. I can see the presentation.
That's
Please go ahead.
great. Thank you. Okay, so we discussed the problem of the connection between the IT and the OT. To secure this connection is not just a technical process. To do it right, to be honest, it's an entire organizational transformation. And when done right, it can unlock real-time data insights and improve operational efficiency and even enhance the security posture, but it requires careful planning and alignment. So with this in mind, I would like to walk with you through the 5 key steps in my eyes to facilitate this convergence effectively. So the first thing is to communicate common goals. You can start by aligning both sides, the IT and the OT, on a shared objective. Because, I don't know how it's on your country, but in Israel, the IT and the OT teams often have different KPIs and risk models. And so you need to define what success looks like for both sides. The next thing is to create an IT and OT integration roadmap. And this isn't something that happens overnight, yes? We need to develop a phased roadmap that includes the short-term wins and the long-term wins.
Israel,
And
have you stopped the presentation?
what?
Have you stopped your presentation?
No?
Okay, okay, okay. Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. So everybody can see it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So, for example, we can start with low-risk integration points like centralized monitoring. When I was the CISO in Israel Airways, I designed our SOC, our Cybersecurity Operations Center, to monitor the IT and the OT together. For example, this can be a milestone on your mutual roadmap. And things like that, but you need to do it together. You need to define the roles and responsibilities, because one common failure point in this convergence is the lack of ownership. Who is responsible for cybersecurity controls in the PLC network, for example? Who owns the VPNs from vendors accessing the OT? You need to define clear responsibilities, especially for shared components. Because in most cases, the IT and the OT, they don't speak together. You know, they are different teams and they don't necessarily communicate so well together. So I would suggest maybe form a task force, a joint task force from the IT and the OT. You know, each and every team can send representatives to this task force, and they can manage overlaps and resolve the conflicts. They can speak together. The next thing, which is one of the best thing that I can encourage you to do, is cross-train IT and OT teams. When I was in ISR, I took the signaling guys and I sent them to a cybersecurity course, you know, because they don't even speak the language. So you can send them to courses together and vice versa. You know, the IT learn the OT and the OT will learn the IT, and it will help to build mutual respect and trust and improve the collaboration. And the last thing is provide the right tools and interfaces. Make sure that the tools you're using support this convergence. For example, network monitoring platforms that can handle OT protocols like Modbus and DNP3, identity management systems that work across domains and things like that, because you know the tools for IT and OT are not necessarily the same tools. So in summary, a successful IT and OT convergence, it's not just about, you know, to connect the systems together. It's about aligning the people, the processes, and your priorities. And when you do it good, in a good way, it becomes a very powerful enabler of both cybersecurity and business performance. Okay, so now let's dive into the next challenge and I'm sure that most of you now will just nod and says, yeah, I know that. Legacy systems and protocols. Because in cybersecurity, we often talk about the latest threats, but as a matter of fact, our biggest, most persistent vulnerability comes from the past, okay? Our legacy systems and protocols, our signaling, interlocking, power control, all of them are designed for a life cycle of 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. And this is fundamentally different from IT world. You know, in IT world, systems are replaced every 3 or 5 or 7 years. So our systems, the operational systems, are built for endurance and safety. But this longevity directly contradicts the necessity for timely cybersecurity updates. And the result is a massive, under-addressed attack surface. So we have many controllers, HMIs, engineering workstations that still run Windows XP, Windows 7, or maybe different kind of embedded Linux versions or things like that, that most of them are not longer supported by the vendor. So if you have critical vulnerability, even if you look and you find vulnerability in those legacy systems, there is no patch available. Nothing. They are not supported anymore. So we are left permanently exposed to known threats, and we cannot do anything about it. And even if you find a patch which is available for your system, we cannot just rush in and patch the signaling server overnight. Every such process needs to be put through a lengthy, rigorous, and expensive retesting, recertification process with the OEM, because we need to ensure that it cannot compromise the functional safety. So this alone make patching rare, if at all, delayed and disruptive. And the last thing is that in most cases, we have older proprietary hardware that runs the OT software, and they cannot support modern security features like encryption, protocols, multi-factor authentication. They don't support it. So beyond the operating systems, the actual communication protocols used to talk between our components were designed in an era when no one even considered cybersecurity. So these legacy protocols offer no internal defense. Once an attacker bypasses the perimeter, he is inside. So since we cannot easily patch those systems, we need to use compensating controls, because this is a fact. This is our life. This is a given fact. We cannot change it. We cannot upgrade the systems overnight. We cannot buy new signaling networks. It doesn't work like that. This is the realm that we live in. So what we need to do is find a way to make compensating controls. We must use modern security systems like specifically designed IDSs, dedicated firewalls, network segmentation around the legacy system if we want to protect it. We need to create a fortified box for those fragile old components. So to conclude, it's to address this legacy drag is a massive long-term mitigation effort, okay? In the meantime, we need to implement strict network isolation and constant monitoring. This is the only way to make it work. And there are several tools out there designed for railway that can help us do it. So, for example, systems like Cervelo, Silus, and Razor Secure are dedicated railway-focused security monitoring and threat detection platforms. They can provide the necessary visibility to your OT network. And at least in ISR, we couldn't just connect an IDS to the signaling network. We were not approved to do that. You need to find passive monitoring, dedicated systems that knows how to deal with railway systems. They know how to decipher the data. They know what is a PLC. They know what is an Excel counter. And then you can get visibility inside this network. Only like that. And when we discuss asset visibility, we need to understand that before we can protect against the threats, we need to satisfy the first law of cybersecurity, which is you cannot protect what you don't see. You cannot protect what you can't see. And currently, today, all of us are practically blind because we can't see anything, almost anything in our OT domain. So asset visibility is the essence of how to create asset inventory. It means having a complete, accurate, and real-time list of every piece of hardware and software connected or running in our railway network, from the central servers to the smallest trackside sensors like Excel counters, everything. Because in railway networks, it's not about counting laptops. It means real-time monitoring and cataloging of controllers, PLCs, RTUs, GSM-R radio blocks, SCADA HMIs, network switches, and even proprietary dedicated systems in your network. Because if you don't see all of those things, you can never protect them. Never. So to get to asset visibility, we need specialized technologies that will be integrated into our monitoring platforms. The same that I've just mentioned, for example, Cervelo, Silus, and Razor Secure. We need to use passive monitoring. We need to use specialized tools to listen passively to the network traffic. This is crucial for OT because we can't actively scan sensitive devices without risking a crash. We need to analyze the content of the data packets within our network. We need a system that know how to decipher this data and understand from within it what are the commands. So asset visibility is essential. It's essential first step. It's the foundation that all of our sophisticated defenses, including the segmentation, monitoring, incident response, must be built. This is the cornerstone of cybersecurity in railway. The cornerstone. It's the most important thing you need to do. But we have other problems. We have the supply chain and third-party risks, like we discussed. Because we trust those suppliers. But attackers knows that, and they can attack them to penetrate us. And currently, the supply chain is where the attackers invest most of their efforts because of the reward. Because if they do it right, they will get a direct path to our OT environment. But the problem is, the challenge, not the problem, is that to mitigate this risk, it will require a formal supply chain risk management program that you need to do for your vendors. And sometimes you have thousands of vendors, if not more than that. But you need to do something. And this includes to audit vendors, to implement strict remote access controls, like we discussed, and in most cases, demand a robust security clauses in every single contract that you publish. And you don't necessarily need to invent everything. You already have several standards in the railway domain that can help you do it. So the first one is the IEC 62443. And this is the standard that provides a comprehensive cybersecurity framework for industrial automation and control systems, for OT. This is our foundational domain agnostic standard. You can download it from the internet. It's specifically designed for OT, not for railway, but for OT. And then you have the 5701. And the 5701 provides the how-to for rail, how to apply those requirements to rolling stock, signaling, and communication systems. It's specifically designed for railways. It's not a standard, it's a technical specification, but it's widely used today. Widely used today. I mean, almost all of the tenders in Europe and also in other countries include a requirement to use for the vendors to be aligned with the 5701. So the synergy between the 62443 and the 5701 is very, very strong. It will give the railway industry a robust, auditable, and internationally recognized framework for cybersecurity. But today, and I can share that I was part of the working group that formed the future standard for railway cybersecurity, we need to focus on a critical standard that will define the future security for railways, for cybersecurity for railways, the IEC 63452. It's the international standard for railway cybersecurity. It's not a generic IT standard. It's a sector-specific adaptation of the IEC 62443 and the 5701 together. And the entire purpose of the 63452 is to establish a globally harmonized benchmark. So I urge all of you to download it and read it and get familiarized with it. It's not simple, but it can give you a complete ecosystem for all of your railway cybersecurity needs. It's a very good document. And I believe that in the near future, it will be a mandatory requirement in every tender. So all of you that are in the railway cybersecurity domain, I really think you need to read it. So in the end, we need to somehow come up with a cybersecurity management system that will be integrated into the entire life cycle of for our company. It's not optional. This is the how-to. So we start with the risk assessment. If you want to implement the 63452 standard, You need to start by understanding what you have. What are the risks? Not just spend money and buy more firewalls or more IDSs. You need to make a risk assessment. You need to identify the assets, figure out the threats, and define security levels. Then, after you did this, you can go directly to the design. And then you can implement zoning and conduits. You need to divide, according to this standard, the network into secure zones. You remember when I discussed with you the convergence of IT and OT? In here, you can dissect it. You can divide them into different zones, and then you can communicate. Then you can secure the communication paths between the zones. Then we move on to operation and maintenance, because security is continuous. This phase covers essential operations like how to monitor the threats, managing vulnerabilities, and make timely patches. And finally, in the end, according to this standard, it leads, all of that leads to the cybersecurity case, the formal proof that everything we designed and implemented actually works and meets the security level we targeted. I think that the standard is not publicly available yet. I think it will be in the next 1 or 2 months publicly available, so keep in mind to look for it. Okay. So going near the end of our webinar, I want to give you some strategic recommendations that I think we need to implement. Practical tools. So first thing, we cannot afford to treat cybersecurity as an afterthought or a patch. We must adopt a security by design culture, which means that we need to implement or demand the security requirements right at the concept phase of the system. Then we need to align with global standards. Like I said, we don't need to invent everything from scratch. We have good standards out there, the 5701, the 62443, and the future 63452, that a lot of smart people sat down and developed them for us to use. So we can just download them and act accordingly. We don't need to invent the wheel. So we need to align with global standards. The third recommendation is, like we discussed a lot of times in this presentation, is how to bridge the IT and the OT gap. We need to implement continuous monitoring. You know, when I was in ISR, I went to the Cyber Senate conference in London, and this is the biggest railway cybersecurity conference, I think, in this domain. It happens once a year. And something like 8 years ago, I stood there and I told everybody my biggest goal is to build a cyber SOC that will monitor the IT and the OT together, and everybody thought I was crazy. But today everybody understands it. You need to bridge the IT and OT gap. There is no other way to do it. Then you need to implement a continuous monitoring using a SOC, using dedicated software like we discussed, Cervelo, Silus, Razor Secure, things that will allow us to monitor 24/7 all of our assets, both in the IT and the OT. And finally, we need to fortify the supply chain because, as I said, we are only strong as our weakest link. Supply chain risks are real. We will enforce strict cybersecurity requirements for all the suppliers. There is no way around it. And by executing these 5 strategic pillars, we don't just build a secure railway, we build a resilient railway that will ensure the safety and trust of our passengers for decades to come. So, thank you. The floor is now open for questions. If anybody has one, please.
Yeah, Israel. Thank you so much, Israel, for this insightful session. And
Yeah.
let me take up some questions which people have written in the chat box. So I'll go from
Mhm.
bottom to up. So uh, Ashwani Mathur's question I'll take first. So he's asking, Dear Israel, in a big country like India, how do you see cybersecurity implementation section-wise in Indian Railways? As it cannot be implemented in one go all over the country, does this piecemeal approach attract higher cybersecurity threats in areas remaining to be covered? So, how to mitigate this problem? So, he's basically asking, how do you
Oh,
see
yeah.
implementation in Indian Railways?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you for that. I can tell you the way I see it, okay? If we want to grab everything, we will fail in the end. Okay? We need to know exactly our weakest points. For that, the best way to do it, and this is the first thing I did at ISR, at Israel Railways, is to make a risk assessment. Even a theoretical risk assessment, not just, try to hack system. No, 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 no. You can go and make a theoretical risk assessment, mark your most important assets, systems, the connections between them, and then sit down and decide maybe a 5 years plan ahead. Where do you want to put your money? You need to come up with goals, strategic goals, what you want to do first and what you want to do next and what you want to leave to the rest. Because when we look on a big country like India, and it's easy for me to say we have one railway and it's tiny compared to India. But when you look on a country like India, you can say, wow, it's too big, I will not do anything. And this is very bad approach. When you make a risk assessment, because even in a country so big and so complicated with regarding railways, in the end, it's, you have IT, you have OT, you have the same systems. Maybe they have branches, but it's the same system. But when you look at it on the table and you discuss it, you understand that with very simple steps, you can cyber mitigate even a railway network in India.
Okay, thank you, Israel, for this. I hope this has answered Ashwani's question. I'll move to Dinesh. Yes, Dinesh, we are exploring to share the session recordings with you. Abdul, could you please unmute? And Abdul, let me see if you're there. Let me just ask. Abdul, you'll have to switch on your camera if you want to ask the questions. We will prefer answering to we'll not prefer answering to a black screen. So please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it will be very good to open the camera. Thank you.
So Abdul, if you would like to ask question, please open up your camera. Let's have it. I've sent a request to you to unmute yourself. Yes. Okay. In the meantime, Veera has asked a question. What are the various ways, tools of continuous monitoring of cyber threats? How to detect cyber threats in real time? How to address skill gap in railway cybersecurity? I can answer that skill gap question. Rest of the things Israel can take up. Core signaling and railway systems engineers may not be aware of cybersecurity, and cybersecurity professionals are predominantly from IT background, may not be aware of rail domain. To answer your question, Veera, on the skill gap, this is the reason why we have created this program in collaboration with IIT Madras and with Israel. So this is not a program which is delivered by IT professionals or cybersecurity generic professionals. It is a program delivered by experts like Israel, who actually have lived situations and scenarios in actual rail industry. So he'll be imparting the rails cybersecurity specific knowledge. Then we have experts from IIT Madras Pravartak who will be bringing in the generic OT/IT security background. Plus, we will also be, and Railway Academy is one of the leading rail related training programs. So, this combination helps us train signaling and railway system engineers into this niche domain of cybersecurity. So, in this program, there is a basic module which talks about railways, there is a basic module which talks about cybersecurity, and there are specialized module which Israel and other experts take up on specific rail industry specific scenarios. So, I hope this answers. And Israel, one part of her question was, what are various tools of continuous monitoring of cyber threats and how to
Yes.
detect cyber threats in real time? You could take that up, please.
Yes, thank you. So, in a nutshell, like I mentioned, we have to use specific tools because in railways, because it's mission critical systems, we cannot just take, systems like Clarity or whatever and connect them to our signaling network. It doesn't work like that. Those are active tools. They send and they need to scan the network, and it just doesn't work. So it's a problem, but it's also in a good way, it minimizes me needs to stick around for different kind of systems. We have only, I don't know, 3 to 5 specific solutions today in the market. One of them, like I said, is Razor Secure, which is more focused towards the rolling stock. And then you have Cervelo and Silus that monitor the networks itself, like the signaling, and they can give you real-time monitoring and asset inventory and a SIM, a screen that you can see what is going on and alerts. Those are very powerful tools designed for railways. They know how to integrate passively into your critical network without doing anything. It's passive. It works with unidirectional diodes. It's highly secured and it's adaptable. And I urge you to look on those solutions for railway implementations.
Okay.
Don't waste your money on generic solutions because it will never work. And plus, your OEM will not allow you to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Israel. Let's take up Ravinder's question. How to handle legacy systems which cannot be patched or already EOL end of life, like Windows XP, where updates or security patches are not practical. So, how to handle legacy system issues?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the presentation, you cannot touch those systems. Unfortunately, you cannot patch them, but you have to make a secure perimeter around those systems and monitor all the communication going to this system and from the system outwards.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Sukram Kirar. What are probable cybersecurity threats for OFC network train control systems like ETCS Level 1?
Can you repeat the question?
What are probable cybersecurity threats for OFC networked train control systems like ETCS Level 1?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the GSM-R communication channel is very easy to hack. All ETCS is using GSM-R to communicate railway commands. It's publicly available. It's using, unsecured communication line. Everybody can fake, a GSM antenna and take the information and make a man-in-the-middle attack. It's very easy to hack. It's very prone to hackers to penetrate systems like that.
Rajesh has a question, Israel, about uh, he's interested, he's exploring to develop his knowledge on rail cybersecurity. He wants to ask that will it be helpful for rolling stock or is it mainly for signaling team working in metro and railway sector? Could you help him understand?
Absolutely, absolutely for rolling stock as well. Absolutely. Today, rolling stocks are, especially in the ETCS time, they have signaling communication on board, you have passenger Wi-Fi, you have passenger information systems, you have infotainment systems. It's like a computer on wheels. Absolutely, you need to secure also the rolling stock. No, no question about it.
Okay. Then Pradeep Kumar is asking, I guess threat. His question is that uh, what kind of threats are there to hack signaling systems?
Uh, Almost any known threat out there. Those are, like I said, Windows XP, Windows 95, Windows 7, very old systems. Some of them are Linux based, not patched, with all the vulnerabilities you can find on the planet. It's very easy to penetrate. Once you have access, it's a matter of minutes to hack those kind of signaling systems. Very easy to do it, and we proved it many times. We did penetration testing. It's like a knife cutting through butter.
Tirath has a question. He's asking if we develop a smart railway braking system or another related product, the applicable security standard for railways will be IEC 62443 or some other standards will be relevant in this case.
62443.
Okay, so I think Israel, we've done with a lot of almost all the questions. If there is anybody who would like to ask, Abdul, if you would like to ask a question, please go ahead. Or is there anybody else who okay, Abdul Manan. Okay, Abdul, I'll take your questions, Abdul. Abdul's question is, how deeply does this course cover cybersecurity standards like 62443, 63452, and TSEN 50701 and NIST cybersecurity framework? Whether the training goes into the practical application of these standards specifically for railway environment. Yes, to answer your question, this course will definitely be covering all these standards. And with Israel and his team, we are planning to do a lot of practical sessions, uh, which our counselors and course advisors will be happy to share in detail. So you could download the brochure from our website. Our team will contact you in next 24 to 48 hours. The other thing is what practical skills and hands-on experience will this course provide that can directly be applied. It's all there in the brochure, Abdul. You just download the brochure. Everything has been we in fact session wise we have talked about the learning outcomes. You pick up a section and you can check out what practical or learning outcome will be there. Yes, you could perform a cyber threat and risk assessment for railway systems after this course program. There are 20 plus real world tools and methodologies which will be taught in the course program. So everything is there in the brochure. Please go ahead and download. You will get all the details. Ramchandra Burungle is asking if railway electronic interlocking system is not connected to network or internet, how anyone can hack. That's something I think every session somebody asks this question to you, Israel. Yes.
There's it's a misconception. There is not such a thing as a system which is standalone because always you need to update it, you need to change it, you have technicians connecting to it with their standalone laptops that were connected to their own router just a few nights ago. There is no such a thing as something like you just described. Every system is prone to be connected to other systems in the end. If not today, then in 1 week. If not in 1 week, then in 1 year. But eventually, you have a malfunction. You have to call the technician to fix something. It will be connected. That's the way things work. But trust me, I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it. There is no such a thing.
Okay. I think we're done with the questions. Okay, we'll take up a last question. Kaushik Nath, what are the opportunities after this complete? So, Israel, I would like you to, because you are dealing this cybersecurity situation worldwide. So, what is the kind of growth opportunities which are there for railway professionals who upgrade their cybersecurity skills? So, what is the kind of future that you see for railway professionals? If you could guide the participants here, that would be wonderful.
After them, they take the course, I mean, and go
Oh,
out to the world.
yes, so I want to ask not just about the course, but I want to ask about, if he so what are the opportunities for a railway professional
Mhm.
in the area of rail cybersecurity coming up worldwide? Not just
Yeah, yeah,
about
very
our
good.
course, but
Yeah,
I generally want to know.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's a very good question. I think this is one of I like to refer to those things like red ocean and blue ocean. Red ocean is where everybody is today. Like you have a lot of cybersecurity professionals and analysts, and yeah, you have, millions of them. This is the red ocean. Blue ocean is where you don't have a lot of people dealing with those kind of things. So this is the blue ocean. It gives you a lot of business opportunities and things like that. I believe that railway cybersecurity is the blue ocean. It's a blue ocean for sure. Why? Because you have a lot of railway professionals, but I urge you to go and find railway cybersecurity professionals, and you will see that not so much of them. So I think that if you are good at it, the options are unlimited.
And I would like to add one more thing. This is not a country specific career that is building
Yeah,
up.
sure.
It's a worldwide. So once you
Yeah, yeah,
actually attain a particular skill, you become ready to be deployed worldwide. So because
absolutely.
as Israel talked about standards, if you have understanding about standards, if you have understandings about IT/OT security measures, vulnerability analysis, risk assessment, you can work in any global railway company, and they are all looking forward to it. It's a priority that is being set all across the organizations. And Israel himself is a consultant. He's seeing a lot of potential rising in this industry. And okay, we have Muhammad Imad. Is coding knowledge required? Not really. Israel, would you like to share some? So
No,
it's not
no,
needed. You don't need coding knowledge to do this
no,
code.
no, for sure.
And
To be honest, I don't know how to code anymore. I forgot how to do it. So rest assured, you don't need it.
okay, Muhammad Imad Ahmad, with the increasing use of AI, what new attack vectors does this create? Or could adversarial AI be used to manipulate predictive maintenance systems or autonomous train control?
Sure, I've discussed it in the presentation. AI opens a new era for cybersecurity threats. We cannot predict what will happen, but for sure it's a huge realm of new attack using deepfake and things like that.
In fact, I've had a discussion with Israel on quantum
Yeah.
possibilities in AI. I would suggest you go ahead and read about this, how this is going to be changing the whole scenario in the cybersecurity domain with quantum computing coming into picture.
It
Any
will be, I can only say that the future use will be very interesting for cybersecurity
yes.
professionals.
Correct, correct. Right. With this, we would conclude the session today, and we look forward to see you in the course program that we are looking at launching, and in the coming. And I would also invite you to please, please, please explore our upcoming masterclass next week on AI applications in railways. This is another area you could actually look at. And thank you so much, Israel, for today's session. I'm really grateful to you for taking out your precious time
Thank you
on
for the
Sunday,
opportunity.
right? So, thank you, everyone. And if you have any other questions apart from this session, please feel free to write to us. I'm writing my email ID in the chat box. If you would like to ask anything related to the course program or about Rail cybersecurity, please feel free to write to us. Thank you very much and have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.